Come on in.
Hey Justin.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Do you mind if I take a seat?
Go for it.
Here's my business card. It has all of my contact information in case you need to get in touch with me after this meeting.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that we got introduced at the alumni tailgate because you started talking about how Yeti needs a CRM solution. I've actually been with Salesforce for about 3 years now, and I think that we could benefit from talking about how the system might be useful for Yeti specifically.
Sure.
So I've laid out an agenda, kind of walking us through some questions about Yeti and how Salesforce could maybe tackle some of your needs, and then I'll go into a demonstration of Salesforce on my computer to show you its features and really show you how it can work for you. And then we'll finish up with some cost talk.
Okay.
So I'm going to be asking you several questions today to make sure that my research is accurate and to get a better understanding of how we could tailor Salesforce to you specifically. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
All right. Do you mind if I take notes today?
Please.
Great. So is there anybody else who needs to be here today?
Well, it's just going to be me today.
Okay.
But I will be speaking with the executives. Everything goes as planned. That way we can discuss purchasing and all that.
Great. And we have about 20 minutes today, is that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I want this to be a productive part of your day, so let's go ahead and get started. What I want to begin with is, could you tell me a little bit about how the sales role functions at Yeti?
Yes, so we have a pretty extensive sales program here at Yeti.
Okay.
So we have our retail sales people, but we also have our direct-to-consumer sales people. Basically, the retail sales people are in charge of finding new leads, but as well as upkeeping relationships with current clients. That way, that hopefully sales will increase with them, and hopefully we'll find new clients as well. And the retail sales people make up the majority of our revenue.
Okay, and if you had to estimate how much of that annual revenue could be attributed to retail sales, how much do you think it would be?
I believe the last time I checked it was close to $350 million.
Okay, and how many retail stores do you currently work with?
Wow, so I think the last time I checked it was a little under 9,000 retail stores.
Great, thank you. So when we spoke earlier at the tailgate, you mentioned difficulty staying true to some of Yeti's core values because of rapid growth. Being responsive and going the extra mile with your customers as demand grows is challenging because your system isn't able to keep up with the growth of Yeti. Would you agree with that?
Yes, so it really has become difficult to continue to provide good customer care when it's hard to deal with customer information that's spread out across tons of different areas, really.
Right. Okay, so I understand that your current system has your sales team focused on dealers and your marketing team focused on direct-to-consumer sales. Could you tell me a little bit more about how information is recorded with this setup?
Yeah, so the information is recorded in whatever way the salesperson finds fit.
Okay.
So they're in charge of their own information. It's recorded for them, by them, and then really we've kind of found that it's not a good way to collect and store all the information that we need. It would be much easier if we could get it all in the same place. It's in sticky notes on desk walls. It's in Excel files all over the place.
Gotcha. Well, it seems like referring back to customer and client information is extra time consuming because of the way it's recorded at the store in so many different ways. Would you agree that your employees could benefit from some extra time to work on selling if all this information was easily found on a single platform?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
And do you think it would be fair to say that Yeti sales might increase by about 3% if your sales team had that extra time instead of mining for data, they just had that available to them?
3% would probably be smaller than what it really might be. I think it could be anywhere probably around 5%, just because of the amount of time that they do spend searching for information.
Staying along those same lines, do you think that Yeti's core values of responsiveness and urgency are affected by the time it takes for employees to find the data they need in order to communicate with their customers and clients? Do you think so?
Well, we don't really have a way to measure that currently. So we can't really assume that it's led to a decrease in productivity. But the difficulty in finding the right people with the right information has gotten seemingly difficult.
Okay, so you don't have the way to gather insights about customer loss either.
No, but truthfully, I'm sure it's happened. We can assume that because there are some of the businesses that will fall through the cracks.
Right. Okay, would you say that this lack of insight has caused your team to pursue leads that maybe are not ready to move forward and neglect those that would be more likely to be secured?
Well, like most companies, our salespeople are after the big fish,
right.
The clients that they think can turn into the biggest payday. And so that's something that we've kind of tried to wean them away from in a sense. But with our current system, we're not able to categorize different leads, whether they are in the beginning stages, middle stages, or even in the closing stage. So that's become difficult for us.
So if you had access to these accurate insights, is it fair to say you could potentially secure 8% more clients than you currently do?
Well, it would have to, well, I guess it would just have to depend on what you mean by insights.
Okay, so what I mean by that is if you had access to this data that had been collected over the full history of your customer and client relationship, that could be, conclusions could be drawn from this information. Do you think that you could secure more clients with that?
Most definitely.
Even to the extent of 8% more?
Yeah, actually. That would be just the fact that we could find out who is important to reach out to at one point in time.
Okay. So moving forward, another core value of Yeti is to prioritize activities that have the biggest impact. I imagine that with such incredible growth, that would become difficult to stay true to. Is that true?
Yes. So when it comes to the biggest impact, sometimes our salespeople lean towards the biggest payday. So sometimes the biggest impact is reaching out to some of these smaller businesses that could need our assistance or really who could need our product.
Right.
And so it may be a smaller client to begin with, but who knows what the future may hold.
Now, you've also mentioned that your sales team has grown rapidly to keep up with this demand on your company. Can you tell me a little bit about how this has changed the dynamic of your team?
So, yes, with our salespeople, it has been difficult to keep up with who has what information. But on top of that, the requests between departments have become increasingly unorganized. Between account management and sales, sales actually seems to be getting frustrated with the account management department because of all the questions that they keep asking them about all this information that they have. And it upsets salespeople because that's less time that they get to spend selling, which they're being paid to do.
Exactly. So having a system that would allow for better collaboration between your departments would be something that could help in furthering growth?
Definitely. It's something that would save us a lot of time, save us a lot of frustration, but it would also give access to the right information more quickly. I think that so much, having such reliance, I guess, on information, and not being able to have that is difficult for our sales team as well as our account management team, really anyone involved in the process. But if we could better keep this information and have it more organized, and especially having it in one place, would be very beneficial.
Great. Okay, well, I can tell you that Salesforce has had great success in the past, tackling needs very similar to Yeti's with other clients. So just to give you a visualization, some similar client experiences show that during the first 18 months of implementation of Salesforce, there's been a 200% increase in new leads. And beyond that, a 40% increase in new accounts. And then a 30% increase in product orders, and even 18 to 30 hours saved per week in just time and inside and outside sales. So we've seen some incredible results. And if you don't have any questions or comments, I'd love to review quickly what we've determined so far, and then go ahead and jump into some demonstration of how Salesforce can benefit Yeti. Okay, so what we've discussed is that your current system lacks a unified source of customer and client information. It lacks information base that allows for useful insights and the platform for team members to successfully communicate across departments. So all of this seems to have contributed to an unmeasurable loss of productivity because of lost time. And then as well as a 15% loss in revenue and about 8% or more clients annually. Do you agree with everything that I just stated?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do believe that Salesforce can be very useful to Yeti in recovering these losses that are holding back your growth and creating barriers to achieving and staying true to your core values. So would you mind if I scoot close to you and start demonstrating some of Salesforce features that could benefit your company? All right. Okay, so here we are on Salesforce. The first thing you're going to see here is the Salesforce homepage. Right away you see your performance chart, which clearly shows you how you're performing in relation to your quarterly performance goals. From the homepage, you can click here and move over to accounts to see the full history of customers and clients. Importing data here is really easy, so there won't be any trouble in getting your employees to conform and to start using it. So the information gathered by any team member will be collected and stored in this one place called Sales Cloud, and it's available to the entire company 24/7. It can definitely positively impact your communication with clients. Okay, so now if you look over here at the news function, you click on that, it'll show you recent stories about individual accounts that could provide your reps with significant information before they move into their next sales call, for example. You may learn that one of your accounts has just come into a large sum of cash, something that gives you the opportunity for advancing, and it would be really beneficial to know going into the conversation. So now if we move our focus over to opportunities for greater insight, I know that's a big deal with Yeti right now, so Sales Cloud dashboards is a way for you to view opportunity insights, track activity, and manage sales performance. With this feature, as you can see, the team can identify trends and analyze data in a way that can accelerate your future sales. Another Salesforce function that I think you would find beneficial is Einstein Commerce Insights. Here, if you click on this, you can learn which of your products are most commonly purchased with another key item in your inventory. Data in this Commerce Cloud helps your team gain insight on product-specific sales and for co-purchase categories so that you can make better merchandising and promotional decisions and stay true to your core value of prioritizing activities that have the biggest impact. Now, another thing that Salesforce can definitely help Yeti with is improving on collaboration between departments. Of course, Sales Cloud in general aids in this by making information available to the entire company 24/7, but you can also track interactions between members right here. So your different team members can be tracked and encouraged to contribute what they've learned about clients and about a lead and store it in the cloud so that anyone can have access to it whenever they need it. Right here within that, you can create a tab, call it something like projects or something along those lines. And this will be a specific location to refer to keep up with requests from department members. So I know there's been a lot of frustration at Yeti with a lot of questions and not getting the information needed. So as you can see, your requests can be added to the list by others who fill out this form right here. And progress can be tracked by anyone within Salesforce. So a salesperson could submit a request and then continue to follow it and see where it's at in the process of being coming to a conclusion. So you can probably tell that there are countless ways to tailor Salesforce to meet your needs and to scale with your company. Do you have any questions about what I've shown you?
No, I think it may take a little bit of time getting familiar with the system.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll move back over here. I understand that it's important to ensure that the benefits of implementing Salesforce will outweigh the costs. So I'd like to demonstrate that will be the case, if that's all right.
Yes,
okay,
please.
So let's do some math. Right here, let's first work out the cost of implementing Salesforce. So for a corporation of your size, there's going to be an initial setup fee of $25,000. And beyond that, it's going to be $185 per individual per month. So your overall cost for your 100 salespeople is going to come to about $247,000 for the first year, and following that, it'll be $222,000 per year after that. So now, if we calculate your cost of, say, not implementing Salesforce, we said that Salesforce has the potential to increase revenue by 5%. With $450 million in annual revenue, a 5% increase would amount to $22.5 million a year in additional sales that you're missing out on. That alone far outweighs the cost of implementing Salesforce, but let's also consider the increased revenue opportunity from securing more clients. So let's estimate that $350 million of the $450 million in annual revenue comes from retail stores, like you suggested earlier. Would you agree with that still?
Yes.
Okay. And so you said you had about just under 9,000 retail stores currently. So if we divide out that $350 million by that estimated number, your average revenue per account is typically $40,000 for each retail store. So with an 8% increase in these new clients, Salesforce could increase your annual revenue by another $28 million. So what we're looking at is $247,000 for year one of implementation and $222,000 per year after that if Salesforce is set up. If Salesforce is not set up, then your cost is $50.5 million in additional revenue that Yeti could be earning. So I know that you need to speak with your CEO and other executives before coming to a purchasing decision, but if you would like to go ahead and organize another meeting with all of them, I would love to do that.
Yeah, I would be very interested in that. I think that we may be able to do around this time next week, so maybe Tuesday around 9:30.
That sounds great. Perfect. Thank you again for your time this morning. I look forward to seeing you next week.
No problem.